Hello. Hello. I just stumbled out of bed from an unplanned mid-afternoon schizophrenic nap, feeling not very refreshed, but better than I was feeling before. I then proceeded to put on some Christmas music, Christmas pop, modern by the way. If you're interested, Christmas pop is one of my favorite genres of music, sponsored by Bose. You see this speaker? It changed my life. I was kind of doing a little jig, wondering what to do with the rest of my day, and I was like, oh, I know just the thing. I will get in my car and drive until my back hurts, in loops, wherever I feel like. And then I was like, wait, Charles, that's my name, by the way. I never say hello to you guys in these things. I never say my name. It's a mystery. But it's Charles. I told myself, I said, listen, you have a 9 to 5. My 9 to 5 is you guys, my fans. Welcome back to my bordello. If you're new here, if you're not a returning fan, you will be soon. You will be soon. We're doing a book haul today that has been in the making for months now. I've been buying books for months since my last book haul. I just don't do book hauls. You know, they get sorted, put in different places, and I never end up doing book hauls, but I wasn't even sure if I was going to make this one until I bought one book, which is the best purchase I've ever made. And the reason we're here today. Oh my god. We're gathered here today because Rebecca Yarros, you heard me right, the author of YA ? Not YA, it's very explicit from what I hear. YA not fantasy author Rebecca Yarros, who's been making waves in the media and on TikTok, Book Talk, what have you, with her recent release, Fourth Wing, May of this year. She's already released the sequel, Iron Flame. Probably a week or two ago now, I was at Barnes & Noble wandering around and they had just released, what's the sequel? Listen guys. These books are not for me. I haven't read them. I don't think I'd enjoy them. Maybe I'd enjoy the smut, but that's just about it. But I was walking in Barnes & Noble and they had an Iron Flame stand. And all the copies were sold out, of course. Later, while I was browsing the fiction section, some woman comes in and she goes, so where's Iron Flame? I knew I was going to mess it up. I'm sorry. They were sold out of Iron, but they did have a special edition copy of the first book. You guys, I can't keep saying the names of these damn books. They had a special edition copy, and I picked it up, and I held it for a while, and they only had 2 left, which added to the urgency of the situation. And I really considered buying it. It was like $30, whatever. Something obscene that I don't pay for books. But it was a special edition. And when I was younger, I went to thrift stores a lot. I still go to thrift stores a lot. But every time I saw a book I'd read, I would buy it, no matter what. So at one point, I had 2 bookshelves in my room with 3 to 4 copies of every Harry Potter book, every other youth fantasy book that existed. And then when I got to middle school or high school, I was like, you gotta cut it out. And I stopped and donated them all back to Goodwill, where they came from. But I haven't still to this day kicked the habit of wanting multiple copies of the same book. That was my phone. I've just transferred it. It has just evolved, like me. And now I want multiple editions of the same book. I'm a prostitute for a special edition. I don't even care if I like the damn book. And so I did loops around Barnes & Noble, getting very anxious by the minute. I was like, there are 2 copies left. And then I saw the broad that was asking about the sequel carrying one of the special editions, which meant there was only 1 special edition left on the stand. And at that point, I got very anxious. Still having no intention of ever reading the books, I was like, it's now or never, baby. It's now or never. So after doing multiple loops, still loops, it completely ruined my experience. I went there to just, browse a bit, get book ideas, add some books to my newly made books I want list in my notes app so that I will stop buying books. And after doing like 10 loops of the store, completely just skizzed out, like twitching every which way. I go and sit in the cafe. I was like, you need to calm down. You need to think this through. And I decided on not buying the book. Congratulations, me. But what that did was it sent me into a spiral, and for the next few days, I went on eBay looking for special or older editions of my favorite books. I was like, I need to get a special edition ASAP, or I won't be the same. I'm being dramatic, but it really was a spiral in Barnes & Noble that led to me looking up special editions of my favorite books, which led to me buying one of them. I don't know what I'm going to title this video. It's one of two things. I think I'm going to just do a vintage book haul, because that's what this was supposed to be originally. I went to the Goodwill bins. They weigh by the pound. And I bought a bunch of vintage books, old books. And then I kept buying books, and now half of them are new and half of not new. They're still from Goodwill, pretty much all of them. And the other half-ish are the vintage books. And then I bought this book that I'm teasing you with right as we speak. And that might be the title. Who knows? Cheers. After my nap, my coffee had gotten cold, so you can't microwave these cups. Do you see that? Do not microwave. Listen, I'm not one for living on the edge. My coffee was cold, I was cold, and I wanted something warm to hold and to drink. And so I went into my kitchen and I was like, how could I reheat this? And the only thing I had available was a Pyrex Tupperware bowl. So I poured it all in and then microwaved it for 3 minutes. And then I poured it back out, and only half of it got in the container. No big deal. I promised myself I wasn't gonna ramble, but here we are. Here we are. Here's the package from the book I bought on eBay, which I was going to open. I hope I'm not getting my goddamn address. Which I was gonna open on camera, but then I was like, it's too special. It is too special, but I will show my fans. And so I opened it by myself. And it's one of the best purchases of my life, if not the best purchase. And oh my god, I have more books. Oh, let me get a few more books, and then I'll stop teasing and I'll show you the damn book. Okay, book secured, and now the moment you've all been waiting for, the book that I got. It's a first edition copy of The Secret History, my favorite book. And it's so sexy, and that's all I have to say. I shelled out for this book, no big deal. But it's an investment that I'm never going to sell. In the process of buying this book, of looking for a first edition copy of The Secret History, I had to find out how you could tell if something's a first edition, because sometimes there are non-first edition copies that look like this on the outside, but they're reprintings. You guys, I really studied up to make sure that I was getting the real deal and not just wasting my money. It's a first edition, apparently, if it says first edition or some other criteria. But there it is. First edition, which is a major score. I love Donna Tartt. I was gonna save this for Christmas, and then I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna unwrap it now as an early Christmas gift. That's all for the haul, and I'll see you next time. That's the most exciting part of the haul. The second most exciting book I bought was also off eBay. It is Monster Festival. It's not by Edward Gorey, but Edward Gorey is the reason I bought it. Edward Gorey is an illustrator I really like, and these are classic tales of the macabre, and it's just a collection of monster tales, and it's beautiful. Look at the illustrations. Shut up. So good. Do you see that broad on the ground? Anyway, I'll periodically search Edward Gorey on eBay to see if anything fun pops up, any books. He did a lot of book designs. not designs, like he drew for the dust jacket or for Inside. I have a copy of Dracula, which is, the book itself is gorgeous, but I hate the book. And so this popped up on a search and it was on an auction for like $10, and I was like, you know, that's a steal. And then as the auction got nearer to the end point, the bidding started going haywire. People went crazy. People went rabid. I was like, okay, the max I'm gonna bid is $25, and then the bid got to $25 with 10 minutes left, and I was like, okay, I'll bid $35, and then the bid got to $40, and I kept increasing it, and I was like, okay, what do I bid? What do I bid? What do I bid? What do I bid? And I bid like $85 for this damn book that I've never heard of, and I won for like 50 or something. It was a score. Knowing that I took this away from someone who might have actually really wanted it warms my heart. You know, eBay, they get you on those damn auctions. It's the thrill of the hunt. And I hunted this bit. I'm trying not to curse as much, so these videos will be family friendly. But I hunted this bleep down, and it's beautiful, and I love it. I will probably never read it, but the illustrations are really something. So good. I love Edward Gorey. Anyway, these are probably two of the most expensive books I've ever bought. This and The Secret History, but they're gorgeous. On the Edward Gorey note, that Edward Gorey spiral was brought on by the Gashly Crumb Tinies at Barnes & Noble, and I was like, oh, my mom had a copy of this book when I was growing up, and I remember really liking it. It's really good. It's an A to Z, like an ABC's book, but each letter is for a kid who dies, and it's how they died. Like, J is for James, who took lie by mistake. D is for Desmond, thrown out of his sleigh. Happy holidays. I also bought an Edward Gorey, what are they called? Tarot pack. I don't know where I fall on the spiritual religious spectrum, but I'd like to get into it. I'm going to learn how to read tarot, and the goal is to be a fortune teller. I think I really wouldn't mind that as a career. That's it for Edward Gorey. We'll do a few vintage books since that's the title of this video. This I bought from a Salvation Army thrift store. It's Here is New York by E.B. White, who wrote Charlotte's Web, and it's this skinny little old copy. It was $1, and he just writes about New York, and I thought that would be really fun. This is the Pelican Shakespeare Sonnets. Pelican is just the publishers. It's just Shakespeare Sonnets. But I bought it because I really like the cover. It's really good. I'm probably not going to read these anytime in the foreseeable future. There are some annotations that I thought were fun. This was from the Goodwill bin, so I probably paid like $0.25 for it. Another vintage book. This is Muirhead, Scotland. And it seems like a travel guide / atlas. There are maps in the back. And I thought it was really cool. And there are, I'm looking for them. There are leaves. Someone pressed leaves into the book, presumably from Scotland. And I thought that was really, really cool. I think Scotland's cool. Look at this fold-out map. I'll have to read up on Scotland from this tiny vintage book. This was also from the Goodwill bins, so it probably costed $0.25 to 50 cents. I'm pretty sure my Goodwill bins has half-off days, so sometimes you can really get a steal of a deal. And I'm pretty sure that's what these books are from, but if not, then I'm lying to you and paid 25 cents more than whatever I'm saying. This is the title is Poems That Live Forever, and it's a collection of poetry. I think one day I'd like to get into poetry, but the thought of going through collection after collection looking for one that I like is really, it's drab. And so when I saw this collection, I was like, maybe I'll just flip through this, which I probably won't end up doing anytime soon. More poetry. This is Poems for Youth by Emily Dickinson. Yeah. Oh, there's more. There's more to the Edward Gorey spiral. This is The Dark Secret of Weatherend by John Bellers. It looks like a kid's book. Looks like. I bought this book for like $30. I'm not really sure why. Well, I know why. It was because Edward Gorey does the illustrations for this book, which might only be the dust jacket. And I thought the story sounded fun. I really liked the back. I think I'm going to have a return to children's stories and really appreciate them. So that combined with it being illustrated by Edward Gorey, I thought was really fun. I think these books are out of print, which is why they're so expensive. Not just that they're old, it's also a series. I don't know. More books I got off eBay. I was reading Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and like 20 pages in, I bought 2 more of her books, and this was a lot on eBay. This is Jamaica Inn and My Cousin Rachel, and it was like $13 for both of them. I really just bought it because I liked this edition of Jamaica Inn. They reissued the covers, and I don't love the new one. And there weren't very many listings with this cover available, but I found a lot, and I thought originally that this book was really, really ugly. I mean, it kind of is, but the more I look at it, the more I'm entranced by its ugliness. So I actually really like this book, is my current take. Jamaica Inn, the reason I bought this set of books, turns out someone wrote in the description, the person selling it was like, it perfect condition, never used, whatever, and so I bought it. And when I got it, look at these annotations that are in pencil. Look at that. Like every single line, can you see that? Every single line is underlined or circled or something stupid. No notes. They just like underline everything and circle it. Circle paragraph after paragraph. This book must have been annotated by a rock. So I emailed the woman, messaged her, and I was like, their annotations. And so she sent me a full refund, and instead of buying another copy of Jamaica Inn, I'm probably gonna sit down, watch a movie, and pull out my eraser and line by line erase all of the annotations. But I got 2 free books out of it, and I'm looking forward to them. Oh, more books. This is from Amazon. I bought this a couple months ago. It's Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I've seen it a lot at thrift stores, but I never picked it up, and then I was really having an itching to read it, and so I bought it on Amazon and didn't read it, but I'm still looking forward to it. This is from a Salvation Army, one of the hottest books I own. It's Harvest Home by Thomas Tryon. So cool. I love this edition. And it's apparently a thriller or something. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Listen. On its publication in 1971, Thomas Tryon's first novel, The Other, which I am in the half-ish of, was hailed by the author of Rebecca as horrific, and by the author of Rosemary's Baby as a whirlpool of oh my god horror. So when I found this at the thrift store, I ordered The Other, and my world isn't blown away so far, but I really like this copy regardless of what I end up thinking of this book or The Other. Or The Other. This was from a few months ago, and some of them are up there, but I found a bunch of vintage cooking books, and I bought a few because I thought they were really cool, and the one that I'm showing you is Simply Scrumptious Microwaving. I think vintage cookbooks are so silly. I think cookbooks are a wee bit outdated with the advent of the internet and New York Times cooking app, because if you didn't know, the New York Times cooking app is great, and people can comment on the recipes and suggest suggestions or things they did to the recipe to make it different. They also have a YouTube channel where they show you how to make the food. And it's really fun. But I don't think cookbooks are completely outdated because it can sometimes be nice to have, you know, just a book where you flip through and you're like, I'm going to make that. Anyway, I thought a cookbook where everything is made in the microwave would be really fun to read, if not anything else. Leg of lamb with potatoes, serve with mint jelly. Spaghetti pie, beef burgundy. Okay. This is the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver, which I've been meaning to read since high school and still haven't read. This is a first edition copy, I'm pretty sure. It says first edition, and I'm not gonna show you. But it was $2 at a Goodwill, and I already have a paperback copy. And so I was thinking about leaving this, but I was like, what if I really, really love this book? This is another copy of Crime and Punishment, maybe my third. I think it's my third. This is translated by the people who translate all Russian literature pretty much. I have a newer translation that I'm reading, and so I thought it would be fun when I'm done to go back and compare passages, because I'm probably not going to read the whole book right after I've just read it. Once I bought this, I realized that I do have this translation, but in a different cover. It was $1. This is David Sedaris's When You Were Engulfed in Flames. I'm pretty sure it's an essay collection. I bought it for $2 at a Goodwill. And it turns out it's signed, which is pretty cool. Look at me craning my neck. I used to always get David Sedaris and David Foster Wallace confused. I haven't read any David Sedaris. I'm worried he might be a bit too quirky for me, but we'll see. This is Elmer Gantry by Sinclair Lewis. I bought this on Amazon for a few dollars. It's a mass media market paperback. My dad said he really likes this book, so score. I'm pretty sure it's about religious hypocrisy, which is always a fun topic in books. This is Grotesque by Natsuo Kirino. She wrote Out, which I recently read and really, really enjoyed. It's a thriller novel. Murder, intrigue, sex. And this is set at a prestigious girls' school. And I'm really, really excited to read it. And I've been restraining myself from picking it up ever since it arrived in the mail. I found this, it's like $17 on Amazon. It's like $17 on Amazon, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a lot. And then someone commented, and they were like, on a video where I talked about it, and they were like, I loved Grotesque. And so I went on eBay and looked for it again, and if there wasn't a deal, I was just going to buy it on Amazon, but I found it for $6. And when it arrived in the mail, the postage, the price that the person paid for postage was on... There are cats like Hunger Gamesing it out right outside of my window, like literally 6 cats. When the package got here, the postage that she paid was on it, and she paid like $4.50 to ship this book, and I paid $6 in free shipping. I felt bad for that broad, but I got a steal of a deal. I'm probably going to read this before the year is up, because I'm itching. But the year flies, so I probably won't. This is A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. One of my old teachers said she loves this, and it's been featured like everywhere online. A Tale of Suicide, always alluring. This is All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy, which if you watched my book on haul video, I got rid of this book. Not this exact one, but this exact book, not this exact copy. And I hate Cormac McCarthy, but I was like, you know what would be funny? I actually found another book, The Red Pony by John Steinbeck. It's on a stack. I really couldn't get out every book I've bought from the past 6 months to show you guys, so I brought out the most recent ones in like the microwave and cookbook. But this I found at the bins after I had found Red Pony by John Steinbeck, and I was like, what if I do a video reading like a horse? That's the title. And so I bought this again. This is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, which I'm really hesitant about. Earlier this year, I was really excited for this release. I love the Dutch House. Love, love, love the Dutch House. And then I read Commonwealth by her, and I really hated it. And so I wasn't really planning on picking this up, but my friend was in Nashville, Tennessee, where Ann Patchett owns a bookstore, Parnassus Books, and Ann Patchett sells, or the bookstore that she owns, sells all of her books, and all of them are signed. So my friend bought it from me. Score! I'll read this eventually. It also came with freebies. This is a book, Mark, from Parnassus Books, and a postcard. This is Cold Mountain by Charles Frazier. I swear, after I heard of this, I saw it at every Goodwill I went to, and whatever the synopsis is, I really don't remember. It's something naturey, and I don't think I'm about nature, per se. I like the outdoors, but I don't know. A story about nature, the idea of it just doesn't do it for me. That's why I haven't picked up Demon Copperhead yet, even though I'm sure it's a wonderful book. But Alana, a fellow booktuber, one of my favorite booktubers, recommends Till Her Face is Blue, this book. And so I was like, oh, you know what? I will pick it up for Alana. And I think she has great taste, and she's a blast to watch. Go watch her. So now I'm really looking for. This is another part of the vintage book haul. I've no idea what this is or how to pronounce it. It's markings. And I thought it sounded mildly interesting. Oh, I bought it because there was a foreword by Auden, who I think is a famous poet, but I swear he does afterwords and forewords for like half the books I own. If not half, then at least one. This is another Edward Gorey purchase. It's The Haunted Looking Glass, and it's ghost stories that he chose to be compiled in this book. It's a Hot New York Review Books edition, and it's really, really fun. I've been meaning to read this since I bought it. It's sat on my bedside, whatever, and I haven't gotten to it. I still haven't cracked how to read short stories. Maybe I'll just start reading one before bed. This was from the Goodwill bin, so it's a quarter. It's Night Train by Martin Amis. And I've never heard of it, but I love the publisher Vintage. And I thought the cover was really hot, really Art Deco. You're so Art Deco. I don't know why I bought this book. This is Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan. I'm partial to an Oxford World's Classics edition. I think they're hot. Maybe I looked up reviews. I like buying a lot of books because I'll look up the reviews when I'm buying the books, and then I'll trust my past self that I had good judgment and picked up a book that there was a good chance I would enjoy, but by the time I pick it up from my shelf, I'll have no idea what the synopsis is, and I'll just go in blind, which is great because the synopsis usually spoils a good bit of the book. If not all of it, if the book's a classic. Be wary of classic book backs. This is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, which I swear I probably already have, but this is in a Sexy Norton Critical Editions. It was from Goodwill. It was $1. This is The Devil in the Kitchen, Sex, Pain, Madness, and the Making of a Great Chef. I love a good chef show, and I love a good memoir. I've never heard of this man. I'm a fake cooking fan, but I thought this would be fun. It was $1, also from Goodwill. I make up for my silly purchases of really expensive books by getting most of my books from thrift stores. So it not only evens out, but it more than evens out because I'm not spending billions of dollars at Barnes & Noble, which I have done before. This is a book I've never heard of. It's called A Time of Gifts by Patrick Leigh Fermor. And I bought it mainly because it's a New York Review Books edition, and they have fun books that I've often never heard of. This was $1 at Goodwill. And I read the synopsis and I think looked up a few reviews, and it looked decent. I probably won't pick this up for the foreseeable future, but maybe I'll have an itching to. This is another vintage book, It is Presumed Innocent by Scott Turow. He has a memoir called 1L, and it's about his time as a 1L at Harvard Law School. 1L is someone who's in their first year at law school. And after writing that, or I don't remember in what order he wrote that book in his... Anyway, Scott Turow has written a memoir that I read a while ago, years ago, and really enjoyed. And I know he writes a lot of legal thrillers, and I see them all the time, and I'm always intrigued, but never quite over that hump of like, yeah, I'm gonna pick that up. But then I saw this at the Goodwill bins, and this gorgeous vintage copy. This is his first thriller book, or first... You guys, I can't. I'm gonna have to start spreading misinformation so that I'm not talking in circles. This is the first book he ever wrote. It's low-key giving me Dan Brown, who I love. I think that they could be in a similar vein. Like you have Dan Brown with his history. And then you could have Scott Turow with law. And I feel like it has the potential to be really good. I also see Patricia Cornwell's books at every thrift store I go to, and I always think about picking them up. No, I didn't pick one up. Woe is me. But I always think about it. So if you've read Patricia Cornwell, let me know. Is she worth it? This is another vintage book. It is The Complete Poems of Keats and Shelley. You guys, I'm going to donate half of these books after I'm done filming this video because I'm just never going to. I didn't realize how old these were. I thought this was... Who did I think wrote this? I don't know. But a more accessible poet than Keats and Shelley. I don't know. It's a modern library edition. They always make pretty books. This is Approaches to Morality for my philosophy phase that I will never embark on. But I like the color block title. Picture. Design. This book was a quarter from some thrift store. It is Ayn Rand's Capitalism, the unknown ideal. I have never read this book. I do love Ayn Rand, not for her political opinions, not that I wouldn't or don't per se. I don't know. I haven't read any of them. But I found this for a quarter and I was like, sure, I'll give you a shot, baby. I'll give you a shot, baby. I'll give you a shot, baby. This is Edward Said's memoir, Out of Place. I think I've read excerpts from Orientalism, and a book I'm reading at the moment referenced this memoir, and I was like, I like that passage. The passage was like 2 sentences, but I thought it was good, and so I bought the memoir. That was from Amazon. It was like $18. I splurged. I couldn't find a cheaper copy on eBay. This is a book I've never heard of. It is One Day by David Nichols. You guys, I've been itching for a romance novel. I feel like it could be a really great time. And this is a movie cover with Anne Hathaway eating face on the front. Score, it was from the Goodwill outlets. It was, yeah, like a quarter, 50 cents. And I bought it not just because of the atrocious Target movie cover, but because the publisher is vintage, and I was like, maybe there's more to this book than meets the eye. But I am also in the market for a Christmas themed smut book. On the hit list, I think there's one called Christmas Light Farms. Love Light Farms. I don't know. Drop me some recommendations. I'm in the mood for something shocking. Let me know. This is another book I shelled out for. I spoke about this book in a previous video, but it's Dodie Smith's I Capture the Castle, and I hate the modern edition. After further research, there is a better modern edition out. The UK edition is hot, so I ordered that edition, and it's in the mail. I already have a hardback edition, and when I was like 50 pages into the edition that I own, I was like, I love this book. I love this book. I love this book. And I finished the book, and I really, really love it. It's great. It's really, really great. It's funny. lighthearted, and there's depth. But I ordered this copy off eBay. It's a Folio Society edition. They just make hot books. And look at how cool it is. Wow. There's like some metallic in the clouds and moons, and there's the castle. It's beautiful. Shame on you, by the way, Folio Society, for your most recent edition of I Capture the Castle. It's atrocious. It's so ugly. But older editions are floating around on eBay, and I want to say I paid $30 or $40 for this. Steal. Did you know that Dodie Smith wrote 101 Dalmatians? Me neither. You probably did. That's okay, baby. Don't be a know-it-all. Just be sexy. The modern edition, of course, of 101 Dalmatians is also ugly as hell. And all of the older editions that are like pretty and it's just an old hardback book that looks nice are very expensive because they're first editions or something close to that. And I thought about paying like $80 and I was like, pump the brakes. You can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this. But I love Dodie Smith's writing and storytelling. And so I want a copy of the 101 Dalmatians. I can't believe this broad created Cruella de Vil, and I read this entire book completely oblivious. The Folio Society also has an edition of 101 Dalmatians, and it's really gorgeous. I added it to cart. I salted it with my eyes, and then I quickly clicked out of the browser so that I wouldn't spend $80 or however much it costs. Pretty expensive. I wish publishers wouldn't do good books dirty. I still really want to read more Dodie Smith. It doesn't look like any of her other novels are very famous. I know she wrote a lot. I don't know. This is Ian McEwan's Atonement, which I've seen everywhere. Every thrift store. I bought this at the Goodwill bins. It was $1, something like that. And it has really, really great reviews. The New York Times says a tour de force, every bit as affecting as it is gripping. I was going to say affecting. I was like, is that a compliment? I don't think that's a compliment. I think it could be really good. If you've read this, I would love to know your thoughts. On popular books, I just get really nervous because the reviews are like all 5 stars, but then you open it and it's trash. So if you like this book, let me know and I'll probably push it up on my list. I just need a reason to read this, and none of my IRL in real life friends have read this book. On to the next book. This is Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway. I've also been meaning to get to some Woolf for years now, and I still haven't. I do have this book, but it's part of Michael Cunningham's The Hours. It's a dual book, and the thought of reading a book from a book with 2 books, write that down, parse it out, really makes me itch. So I've been waiting to find it by itself, and these books are so expensive at Barnes & Noble. Like, I'm not paying $16 for this, but it was $1 at Goodwill. Score. I do like the cover. It's pretty. I love when books will be like at $15.99 listing the US price, and then they'll be like higher in Canada. Like, we don't know to what degree your currency is worse than ours, but we do know it is. That's it. That was such an anticlimactic end. Inferno. Another book I bought, Inferno by Dante, not Dan Brown, has also been calling my name recently, and I bought another 2 copies. 2. One at Barnes & Noble and one off Amazon, and I have a copy already, but it's really been calling my name. Have you read it? What are your thoughts? Truly let me know. It seems like it could be good. It seems like there might be something there. It seems like there might be a reason it survived 200 years. That's all for the video. I'll see you soon. Hello. Hello. Hello.